Matt Barrows of the Athletic went on a podcast recently and was asked about the search for a new defensive coordinator. Here's what he said, quote, "It's Robert Saleh or bust, really, because they haven't done much work with anybody else to this point. I've heard that they already told Saleh, quote, 'We will make you the highest paid defensive coordinator in all the land if you sign with us. So now it's just a matter of waiting for Saleh,' end quote." Apparently, the highest paid defensive coordinator in all the land currently is Vic Fangio, making about $4.5 million per season. I guess the Niners are offering Robert Saleh $5 million per season, which should mean that they'll get him if he doesn't become a head coach somewhere else. What do you think of this news?
I mean, that's consistent with what the 49ers do. It's a safe pick. It's a comfortable pick. They're not going to go outside the box. They're going to, go back to somebody that they know and feel comfortable with and knows their scheme, because that's what they do, is they just focus in on the few things that they can do and the people that will, enhance it or, deal with it. So not surprised at all that they're going in that route.
I mean, if they can get Robert Saleh, great. There is no salary cap on coaches, and to have one of the highest paid head coaches and the highest paid defensive coordinator, there's no rule against it. Kyle needs it. He fits the culture, the scheme, the philosophy. Of course, it means that there wouldn't be much of a change, but that's the Niners. My thing with this is, like, I think the world of Robert Saleh. I think he's a really good coach, and I think he kind of got screwed with the Jets. I don't know if he's a good head coach in the sense that who's his offensive coordinator going to be? He never really had a good one with the Jets. On the Niners, it's Kyle Shanahan. So if you look at it like as he's the head coach and Kyle's the offensive coordinator, it kind of works. But as we can see, like, he's still on the radar for teams as a head coach. And it seems like if he came back and had one good year, kind of turned the Niners around, he'd be gone next year. And the Niners have they've had no consistency at the defensive coordinator spot since he left. They had D'Amico, who was so good, he left after 2 years, and then firing. Saleh's great, but even best case, he probably won't be here that long.
No, if the Niners defense gets back to, where they were and he does well, then he's going to be gone soon again. And we're just going to be back in that rotation cycle. And, the Niners like to be plan C and plan D. Like, Saleh will be like, well, if this team doesn't hire me, this team doesn't hire me, I'll come with you guys. So, yeah, it's just going to be a continuous cycle, and they're going to be back on coach, defensive coordinator number 6, 7. You need stability at some point, and that's not good for the organization.
So let's talk about something else that Barrow said here. Like, the Niners really haven't done any work on anyone else. They've shown a little interest on Jeff Ulbrich. There's a couple ways you could look at this. One, the Niners maybe got some type of verbal confirmation from Robert Saleh that he's going to take the job, and that he's just sort of like doing these interviews as a courtesy to the other teams. And they know it, and this is basically a fait accompli. Or the Niners are being a little naive, and they're putting all their eggs in one guy's basket who could very well go Jacksonville, Dallas, the Raiders. They may not get him. And if he decides in 2, 3, 4 weeks that he's going to be the head coach somewhere else, or he gets that offer, the Niners could once again be choosing between Brandon Staley and God knows who. What do you think?
Yeah, it's like a temporary solution. It's never long-term. I would have liked them to go in a different direction with maybe, the assistant defensive coordinators or DB coaches for like Kansas City. I think one of them was on their radar, but I read something where that specific person said some things against Kyle and his offense that were a little bit demeaning, and Kyle may take that personally, as we know he can be. So I would have liked to have seen them go outside the box for a younger, up and coming D coordinator than just a retread. So yeah, I could see it completely going that way again with another temporary solution to the problem. And at the end of the day, you can have the greatest defensive coordinator in here as ever, has been in the NFL, but you got to have talent. You have to have the talent to do it. And that's where the Niners need to focus on the draft and the free agency and start hitting instead of missing. And that's going to go hand in hand with whoever they bring in.
All right. I was at the barbershop this morning, and my barber he was like, all right, so they bringing back Kyle? I was like, yeah, it looks like it. Seems like it. He's like, you know what they should do? They should get rid of Kyle and hire Spagnuolo as their head coach. And I was sitting there, I was like, I haven't heard anyone say that. And I don't hate it. Like, Spagnuolo is a legit serious coach who, I mean, maybe a lot of Niner fans wouldn't be into it. It's not going to happen, but defensive coaches have been having a lot of success this year. He's coming from the best organization. He has rings because he beat the Niners. He'd be interesting. I actually, if you're going to replace Kyle with someone, why not replace him with someone who has his number?
Yeah, why not? And that's why Brian. Yeah, last time we spoke, we mentioned Brian Flores kind of having his number, but then, things happen. Like now, Brian Flores' stock is down a little bit because Minnesota got beat. It's so funny how the NFL just changes week to week. Like, oh, this guy or this coach or this player is at this level, and then they have a bad week or two, and then all of a sudden they're back down there. But then other guys have multiple games where they're bad and they're still considered at the higher level. So there's a hypocrisy in the NFL big time when it comes to that.